Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be going over the best region in Smash Ultimate. If you don't know, there are 4 major regions in this game in Japan, Europe, the USA, and Canada. We're going to be calling them NA for the sake of this video, and Mexico. All of those regions are very good, and it's the closest it's ever been between the 4. We all have players in the top 10. Everyone is doing incredibly well right now, and it's really close. We're going to be going over the top 4 regions in the game, and also we have a lot of data from ORION ranking with a bunch of top players being on here from literally every region. I've collected the 5 highest ranked players from every region, so let's just look at that right now. So for our top 5 players on the Orion ranking, we have Light at 4th, Tweak at 8th, Onin at 10th, Riddles at 11th, Cola at 12th, EU is Gluto at 9th, Siski at 21st, Bloom at 23rd, Mr. at 52, and Tarek at 56. Mexico is Leo at 1st, Spargo at 3rd, Meister at 16th, Shag at 41, and MK Big Boss at 53. Japan is Akal at 2nd, Shuton at 5th, T at 6th, Proto at 7th, and Yoshidora at 15th. And the reason there's a little bit of a question mark next to Proto is just because he isn't super active right now, so he isn't currently top 5 in Japan, but he's definitely a top 5 player there. But I would just slot Mia into the slot. Again, this is a little bit outdated. Kurama is definitely top 5 in NA right now, so a couple players could be shifted around, and we will be talking about the best of the best. But before we do that, I want to talk about some up and comers that could do a lot of damage into the 2023 year that make one of the regions way more solid. Also, something I just forgot to mention at the start of the video, here are the top 5 players from minor regions. So if you're not in any of these major regions, we have Sonics in 14th, Shiny Mark at 89th, J-Dizzle at 100, Strix at 105, Emass at 112, but I know he was kind of in EU for the bit of the year, so E-King as well at 129, so that's your 6th. That is very impressive, from not being a super major region Smash, especially for Sonics getting top 14. And I think if literally any of these players go to more tournaments, they could all absolutely pop off, but I thought I should mention that. Our first player is going to be Shattuck, and oh my lord, Shattuck is incredible. He's had an amazing 2022 year with a really good run at Big House, getting top 8 there. Has wins on players like Cosmos. Recently, he got a win on Onin, which is absolutely massive. Shattuck is a player with so much potential, and he's so young as well that he's only going to get better. He's going to get more experiences, more reps under his belts. He is phenomenal. I'm really excited for him in 2023, and I also think Korn is a character that is super slept on, and he is pushing the meta for this character super hard. It's basically like him. Well, there's a couple other, there's Neon in Japan, but I think Shattuck is a bit ahead of the curve right now. He is doing very well with this character, and I expect him to pop off in 2023, or at least have another couple great runs. Next player is Kronos, who is literally already probably a top 30 player in the world. He just doesn't go to a ton of stuff. Kronos is actually unreal. He's one of the people pioneering the snake meta right now, and there's a lot of people, so to be in front of that snake meta pioneering, that is very impressive. He has some really good runs already. Wins on Cola, Tweak, Zomba, Leon, Meister, and Game & Watch Snake. If that doesn't prove to you how good he is, then I don't know what will. Kronos is unreal. Next player, same thing as Kronos, just hasn't really been to a lot of stuff, is going to be Didi. Didi has been to 1 major throughout 2022, and he top 8'd it, beating Riddles, Goblin, Luis, Wizzy, and Jake, or Dark Wizzy and Jake. That is unreal. Owen is incredible. He also plays Steve, which is pretty good, and PT. Steve PT main as well. Just a very strong co-main. I think he has a really good understanding of that matchup, which is super important in this current meta. Didi is just a player that has so much potential, but again, he's also very young, so kind of the same thing as Shattuck. If we can see him traveling more, I think he has a ton of potential to get really good, really fast, even though he's already incredible. If we see more of Didi, Shattuck, Kronos in 2023, I think they're all going to pop off and become serious threats in NA. Not that they aren't already, but they could become top 10, top 5 in NA threats. They are all absolutely incredible. On to Japan, our first player is going to be Tsubaki, who has a ton of potential. Some of the most potential on this list. With under 100 offline sets played, he has wins on Mia, Osimo, Riziasu, and more. That is actually unreal. His tournament stamina seems really strong. A 5th at Japan 24 is super impressive. And even though he does have a bit of a rough Umabora, that he's a newer player that's going to happen, I think he could do incredible this year. I think he's also pretty experienced on the online Japan ladder, so that is definitely something to consider. Tsubaki is just absolutely amazing. I think if we just see him go to more stuff in 2023, he's going to build up that top player stuff super quickly, because he's already showed a bunch of signs of light. I have a ton of faith in him for the next year. I think he could do very well. Next up is Akka, who's already been doing pretty well for a decent amount of time. He's a 3rd at Winter, probably his most impressive performance. We got wins on players like Repo, Shuton, that is absolutely, or Repo and Proto rather, that is actually insane. 13th at Subageki, 25th at Umabora. He is just super consistent, and then sometimes he has these really good runs, at Wave 3, he got win on, I think that's Futari, wins on Mutakin. Akka is so good. He is the best hero by far, and there's a lot of pretty good hero players. Nair is really good, Beast Mode Paul is really good, Leon has a very good hero, but, Akka just, is different, man. The way he moves is actually insane. The way he uses spells is no other, and I think he's also just someone that's, pretty anti-meta. I think Hero does pretty decent right now. Like, having a decent matchup versus Steve is always nice. I think Hero does have one of those. And I think if he comes to America, where people aren't as prepared, he could absolutely tear things up. And the final player from Japan is going to be YAAA. Oh my lord, if you've watched these videos, YAAA is incredible. He's just so good. 33rd at Umebora, one of his worst performances recently. Like, he's a 4th at Meisuma, wins on Proto, Kameme, Sigma, Atorie, and many more. 25th at Meisuma top 9, 13th at Meisuma top 8, and like Tsubaki, he has barely any sets, only 88 and 29 losses. Like, that is insane. He has so much potential. I don't know if he is on the online ladder at all, but I think YAAA, if he just keeps going to stuff in 2023, he could definitely rise to that spot of best Samus, maybe even like top 5 in Japan. Like, he is actually insane. On to EU, I want to start off with Luigi because, oh my lord, Luigi is so good. He's already won a major in 2022, but I think he will pop off even more in 2023. He has a pretty good Colossal performance as well. Win at Regen, wins on Tarek, Curry Governor, Maze Beans, like VCA 17th there. Like, Luigi is so good, but just this Tech Republic 6 win is really impressive. 2 wins on Mr. R, win on Nature, Quick, Paint, like, oh my lord, Luigi is absolutely incredible. One of the best Luigis in the world now. Probably the best in the world, which is like not an easy title to have because there's surprisingly a lot of very good Luigis. I feel like Luigi would get killed in this meta, but hey, they're figuring it out, so shouts to them. Luigi is absolutely unreal. I hope we get to see him travel more because unfortunately when you're stuck in Europe, a lot of the time people don't recognize how good of a player you are. I think that happens to a lot of EU players. Like I think Siski used to suffer from that. I think Quick suffers from it a little bit, but I think Luigi, if he gets to travel more, will be able to show people how amazing he is. Nature as well, kind of the same thing. Nature is crazy, and he's at Genesis this weekend, so that's hype. And he also has this performance at Colossal. Oh my lord. Wins on Night Talks, Bloom Forever, Go Gesta. That is absolutely incredible, as well as a really good performance at Tech Republic 6. Wins on MK Big Boss, Siski, and SPF. Like, Nature is absolutely unreal. The best Pichu in the world now, I would argue, even though Nietono is really good, I think Nature has just an insane amount of potential. Maybe it is still Nietono off results as well, because, like, you know, Nietono won Phantom, got a couple good wins, but Nature is absolutely incredible. And the final player is going to be Super Semi. If you're in EU, you probably know who Super Semi is. Even if you're not, you should know who he is because he is unreal and he just doesn't go to stuff. He has wins on Leon, M4E, Tarek, Tilde at DreamHack Rotterdam, which is pretty good, only losing to Larry Lur. Ultimate Wanted wins on Ramses, Troped, Leon again, Griffith, like 9th there. Like, he is such an amazing player, in contention for best youngling in the world. And again, same thing. There's a lot of very good youngling players. To be in that conversation when you barely go to stuff, I think it shows like just how amazing he is. He goes to like actually a decent amount of stuff, but like goes to like big majors. I think if we see Super Semi start traveling more, go to more EU majors even, he could be easily top 5 in EU and maybe even like top 30, 40 in the world. Like, Super Semi is actually incredible. And last but certainly not least is going to be Mexico. Mexico has some hitters, starting off with Alan Dis. If you've watched the Shadow, you know we're Alan Dis fans over here, and it's hard not to be because he is like crazy. At Delfino Mazda, wins on Skyjay, Glutoni rocks. Tijuana at War, wins on MK Big Boss, like 3rd place there as well. That is actually unreal. He also has a pretty good smash factor, I think getting 9th there. No, he got 17th there with still a win on Ling, which is like really good, losing to Leo Andric. Like, Alan Dis is absolutely incredible. Such an amazing player. So much potential. Again, one of the pioneers in this current snake meta right now. Feels like every region has like 1 or 2 really strong snakes. And Alan Dis, definitely the best snake in Mexico. Potentially, I think a top 5 snake in the world. I think if we just saw him at more tournaments, he would already be top 50, maybe even higher. Like, Alan Dis is actually unreal. Next up is going to be Rox, who is incredible. Rox is so good. One of the best Sheiks in the world right now. And the Sheik meta is like, it's being pushed a lot right now because you have players like in Japan, like Sylph and Im, who still do pretty good sometimes. You have players like Zachary and Kameme who kind of play Sheik, but not really. But then you have Mr. R doing very well. You have a couple NA Sheiks, but definitely Mr. R being the main pusher of that. I would say Rox's best run is at Smash Factor, where they got an upset on Sonics, which is like crazy. Beating Sonics ever is one of the most impressive things you can do in this game, as well as a really good Tijuana at War. Like, Rox is just absolutely phenomenal. I hope we get to see more travel out of them, because again, I don't think they've ever come to NA. I don't know if any of the players I've mentioned have actually gone out of region for Smash, or at least on the Mexico side have gone out of region for Smash, and I think if we saw any of them go out, they would do crazy, especially this last one in YAAA. YAAA is unreal. Again, when I said there's a lot of very good Luigis right now, I meant specifically YAAA and Lugi, as well as a couple good ones in Japan and some other one I'm forgetting, I'm sure. But YAAA is actually unreal. He had a really good smash factor, getting ninth there as well. Wins on Dark Wizzy, Javi, like those are really, really good. I don't know how good his Delfina or his Tijuana War was, but there it is. Second at Tijuana War, only losing to Spargo. Wins on Rocks, Andric, Alan, Dis. Those are all Nair as well. Rocks twice. Like, YAAA is actually insane. One of the best Luigis in the world. His neutral is so good. His punish is incredible. And again, if we could just see him travel, I'm like a broken record. I think if any of these three Mexican players could travel, as well as a bunch of other players in Mexico, like Andric as well, I think is another one that comes to my mind. If we can see them traveling more and getting consistently to bigger events where they have a chance to play more of these top players, they are going to make these insane upsets because they are just incredible. Now, unfortunately, we can't cover every up-and-coming player because, like, there's like an up-and-comer player every single week in every single region. Like, there's a lot of people doing very well right now, but like some more entrants like NA, you have Quid, who whenever he goes to stuff can do pretty well. Enhanced PV in general also on the up and up. Japan, you have Zach Ray and Masa and Masha, they can always do well. EU, Raflo, Leon, Tarek. I didn't mention Raflo because I feel like a lot of people already know him, but I think he's going to have a very bright 2023. And then Mexico, you have players like Sky, J, Cloudy, and Andric. But with all this considered, onto the juicy stuff, the fourth best region in Smash Ultimate is going to be EU. I think a lot of people would probably have this as EU, but I think a lot of people don't understand how close it is. Like, EU is super good. Your top three in Gluto, Siski, Bloom is so strong, but then unfortunately, there's a bit of a drop-off, but I think it won't be for long. I think if we start seeing more performances out of players like Raflo, Mr. R, Lugi, Tarek, and literally anyone that I mentioned in this video and more, they could all do incredible. They have so much potential. They're looking really strong. They're actually like holding off against invaders pretty strongly now. It feels like when people used to go to EU, they would get like top 8 free every time, but now like you have a lot of people struggling there, struggling to be consistent. Glutzny, who used to be the king, now has to fight pretty hard. Sometimes he doesn't even win. A lot of the times he doesn't even win. I think it shows Europe is growing as a region, which is super sick. So I think if any region to improve the most in 2023, it's probably going to be Europe or like maybe Mexico again, because like when you have players that can't really travel as much when there are not as many majors, you have huge rooms for improvement. But I think Europe is really, really good, and I am very excited to see a lot of their players do well in 2023. And the third best region in Smash, in my opinion, is going to be Mexico. Mexico is the same thing as EU, where their top three is just crazy, and then you have a bunch of players who I think are amazing that they just haven't had a chance to prove themselves right because of the region that they're in. You know, the top three in Mexico: MK, Leo, Spargo, Meister, arguably the top, like the strongest top three of this list. Chag and MK Big Boss, also incredible. Chag is low-key underrated as hell just because he goes to a lot of smaller regions. The wins there that he gets are still really good because those players are amazing, but they don't really count for anything on a ranking, and then when he loses to those players, it hurts him a ton, but Chag is absolutely phenomenal, as well as all the players that I mentioned before. I think if they just had more opportunities for himself, they would be like ranked way higher in people's minds. Like Mexico has only had I think 2 majors this year, and one of them was an invitational. They've had a couple regionals as well, but like Mexico is a region as well. It doesn't get as much representation as players like Japan, NA, even EU do. Like they have a lot of majors, so I think if Mexico just like has more opportunities to prove themselves, they're only going to get better because they just have such an insane talent pool. Also, someone I just forgot to mention, Meme. Meme is crazy. There's a lot of Mexican players that I don't get to mention because it's just time, but like Meme is absolutely incredible. All the players I mentioned are incredible. Mexico is a very, very strong region, and I have them as the third best. And here we are, our final 2 regions, NA versus Japan. Again, NA is just America and Canada, but saying NA is way easier than saying America and Canada, so I'm going to stick to that. And our top 10, in no real order, is going to be Tweak, Light, Onin, Kurama, Cola, Debuzz, Big D, Riddles, and Zomba. And then in contention for that 10 spot are players like Anathema, Munes, Apollo Kage, Jackal, Luis, Cosmos, Ouch are also in contention for it. They're both amazing. And then in Japan, we have Akola, T, Shutone, Yoshidora, Kameme, Ken, Hito, Osimo, Mia. And then in contention for number 10 is like Gact, Zachary, Proto, Umeki, Torie, Abadongo. Like Zachary and Proto are probably both top 10, but it's like I don't really know how to rank them. Zachary's probably in there, but Proto, like, if he was like actively competing, going stuff, he would definitely be top 10, but he's on a little bit of a break right now, so I hope he is enjoying himself. But like, even with a couple players missing from Japan, I do think that they are still the best region. And don't get me wrong, it is the closest it has ever been. Because when I first made this series of videos, I think I did like 4 or 5 videos saying like the best regions in Smash. Japan was the best, and it wasn't really close. But for this video, it was super hard for me to decide. I had to think about this for like 20 minutes. As well as EU and Mexico still being very close. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not even overplaying it for content. They're way closer than they've ever been. They're both incredible regions, but I still think that NA and Japan are just too top heavy for them to be considered within that top 3. But still, they're very, very good. But I think Japan has the same top heaviness as America, but I think the average like top player, and I'm talking like 30 to 20 top range players in Japan versus America. I just think Japan's is stronger. Like the amount of people you have breaking into these top eights in Japan, that is it's a new week every single time. There's new players getting into top eight. They have so much potential. There's amazing people that can make runs all the time, as well as just again they are so top heavy. Aquila T Shuto, probably the strongest trio in the world. Like maybe you want to argue Mexico's is or NA's honestly, but like that trio is so strong. Yoshidora and Hiro being massive wild cards. Mia on like a super big come up right now. Like Japan is just absolutely unreal. So is NA right now, and I think honestly if there's any year for NA to steal it back, it's going to be this year because they were probably the strongest at the start of the game. Japan took it for a little bit. You know, they had an extra year. We'll let them have it. But NA, we're going to come back. We're going to take it this year. And I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you disagree with what regions are, like let me know who you guys think the best region is. Again, I value like the average level of play, and I just think Japan has the highest average level among all their top players. But maybe like you think super top heavy matters the most and you think Mexico's the best. I could definitely see it. Maybe you think EU has a bunch of hidden guns. Maybe you love America. And honestly, like NA has some hitters on the rise, especially like keep your eyes on Kurama. He could cause some damage this weekend. But I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Also, if there's any players that I feel like I should have mentioned, please let me know down below. I'm always down to learn about just more players on the up and up or just someone I straight up forgot about. Thank you guys for the support. It has been absolutely unreal lately. I hope you guys have been enjoying the content. I know I've been enjoying making it. Ideas are always helpful. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.